Yes.
I have a question, Stuart,
Yes, Laura.
and it's about the breathing.
Yes.
In the start, when I'm doing the praxis, it kind of feels like the breathing gets even more difficult. Is it normal to, or is it like a part of the working that it maybe can get harder and more difficult before
No,
each?
it's just learning how to master it.
Hmm.
It's learning how to keep your mind in the chakra below the navel, learning how to do the double breathing, to breathe into the heart. Look, you're not going to be able to breathe into the heart if the heart isn't open. So, in order to open the heart, you have to feel gratitude. That will open the heart, and then it'll be very simple to breathe into the heart chakra. And it's the same thing below the navel. You're not going to be able to breathe down there if the mind isn't focused there and that chakra isn't open. And if you try to force it by, I'm going to breathe into the, it doesn't work. It just gets tighter inside. So it's slowly learning a craft. It's learning the craft of the breathing in this meditation. And it could take a little time. And at first, it could be a little difficult. And mostly it's difficult because the chakras are not open. And if the chakra is open, then you will easily be able to breathe into the heart, hold the breath, breathe down below the navel. So that's really the practice. It's learning how to do it. And initially, it could be very difficult. It's not something that we ordinarily do. It's not something that we're taught anywhere, this kind of breathing. But you got to realize, in order to get the heart open, we have to be grounded inside. So the first step is bringing the attention below the navel, and the mind becomes like a surgical instrument that cuts through all the tension in us, and it will open the very core of our being. That gives us the strength to then feel gratitude and to keep the heart open. And when the heart is open like that, you breathe into the heart, and the breath, the breath is not going to open the chakras. The breath is going to strengthen the chakras. It's prana, it's energy. It will strengthen the chakras. But, the exercise needs our help. We have to be doing it and learning how to master it in order for it to work properly. And when you feel it's getting harder, and it's most likely because the heart chakra is not really open. You're not really open in the navel chakra. So the energy, the chi inside doesn't flow and it gets tighter. So it all works together. The knowledge of the exercise and then the mastery of it by doing it and learning how to use it in a conscious way. And this takes time. It doesn't happen in one meditation, two meditations. It happens over time where we learn to master. And once you master it, it opens up so many different areas of work inside yourself that, you can use in order to really deepen the exercise. So I wouldn't worry about that. I would, it's just telling you, really fill your heart with gratitude. Keep your mind focused below the navel. Get the energy flowing inside you and understanding that breathing is not going to open the chakra. Breathing is going to strengthen the chakra. It's going to make the chakra, stronger, more powerful, more open, more permanently open. But in order to do that, it needs our help. We have to master the exercise. And that's all this is about, is learning how to do this. And as you slowly learn how to do it, it opens up so many incredible areas of work inside It's extraordinary. The experiences one has, the inner awakenings one has, and only because the chakra system has finally gotten open. And it opens because we learn to use the mind properly and we learn to use the breath properly. It's like anything. If you want to make violins, it's a craft. And you're not going to be able to make a violin the first 10 times you try to do it. You have to learn the craft. Meditation is a craft. That's all it is. It's not a religion. It's not a cult. Meditation is a craft. And we are learning that craft so that we can open and allow our consciousness to connect with higher energy or God or whatever you want to call it. I hope that's clear, Laura,
Yes, it is.
Okay. Well, don't worry. Just in the practicing of it, you become a master of it. It takes time. And I don't expect you to be perfect. So don't expect yourself to be perfect. You have to slowly and gradually move towards that perfection.
How can I strengthen the chakras?
Yes?
How can I strengthen the chakras?
Well, I just described how you can do it. The first question. Look, each chakra is connected to higher energy in the universe. And my teacher always told me chakras are like psychic muscles. If you don't work them, they're going to atrophy inside. And just like physical muscles, you have to work them or they just atrophy. And how you strengthen them is learning to use the mind and the breath consciously. By learning to do that, by learning to keep your attention below the navel, not only during meditation, but all the time, then learning to breathe into that chakra, because the breath is prana, the breath is energy, the breath is life. You're taking life into the chakra and it will strengthen the chakra. The same thing with the heart chakra. The same thing with the mind, because what will strengthen the mind is learning how to stay focused where there's chi, where there's that power, and that will quiet the mind. And then when the mind gets quiet, we begin to receive wisdom. The universe can give us wisdom. It can give us, energy, and that energy helps to strengthen the mind. Same thing with the throat, sex, base of the spine. The whole inner life of a human being gets stronger because we do the meditation properly. And I think that's how you get stronger. And the stronger you get inside, the more conscious you become of the way you live your life, the more open you are to receive spiritual energy. And, it's just a whole different level of living. And developing that kind of inner strength is essential to be able to master not only a spiritual life, but just learning how to live here in the world, how to be conscious in our daily living in the world. And then there's patience. You got to have patience with yourself, because what I'm talking about takes time to do. It doesn't just happen. It's not like walking into a room and turning on a light bulb, It takes time, it takes practice. I've said this a million times, I'll say it again. My teacher, Rudy, once said, it takes 9 months to have a baby. I think this is something extraordinary he once said. It takes 1 second to die. And when we're doing meditation, what we're doing is giving birth to ourselves. And that takes time, patience, inner work, learning to be grounded, learning to get the heart open, and simply having patience with yourself, because you got to look at it this way. It took a lifetime to get into the condition people are in. They're not going to get out of it in 2 weeks. They have to work to break themselves down. They have to work to open to that higher force of energy and allow it to work on them so that it transforms all the things that are killing them into life-giving energies. And that's the key to this, is the transformation of negativity and all of that nonsense that goes on inside people into energy that is life-giving energy. And that happens as the chakra system develops. And honestly, look, I've been doing this a long time, and I can tell you there's no easy way to do it. Either you do the work or you don't do the work. You know? Whether it's what I teach or somebody else teaches, you got to do the inner work. And anyone who tells you there's an easy path to this, I mean, just put on your running shoes and go in the opposite direction. Because this, you know, what the work is, honestly, is just working against oneself, working against all that negative energy that exists inside people, you know? And we have to learn how to work to break ourselves down and to get free of ourselves. We're the ones who keep us from being spiritually enlightened. And all meditation is about is learning how to get free of oneself. I mean, it's that simple, and yet that hard to do. Because human beings are so complicated, and they're wired in such extraordinary ways. God knows, you know, what they have to do in order to just get free of themselves. On the other side of all of us is spiritual enlightenment. But we have to do the work to get free of us. I hope this is clear and makes sense to you all, you know. Because as I said, I've been doing this a long time, and ultimately I discovered the only battle I really have is with me. I discovered this years ago, and it made it much, you know, clearer to me of what I have to do every day. Did you have a question? No?
I nodded in agreement.
You're in agreement?
I nodded in agreement. Like my whole being was like, yes, yes, agree, resonates.
Good. Well, whether you agree or disagree, you know, you don't have to agree with me, you know. One thing I learned years ago studying with a teacher, I didn't have to agree with him. I just had to learn how to use everything he taught me as a way to get to God. And it wasn't a matter of agreeing or not agreeing. And, you know, what can I learn to do in myself to get stronger and more open to higher energy in the universe? Because there's so much crap in life that you can't agree with, but you've got to learn to use to grow, you know? It's really true. I mean, you just pick up a newspaper, it can drive you crazy reading the stuff that goes on in this world. But everything has a purpose, and that is, how can we learn to use whatever manifests in our life as a reason to grow instead of a reason to destroy ourselves? That, to me, is an extraordinary way of looking at life. And I only learned that through studying with my teacher, because he used to break my chops all the time. And I had to figure out a way, how can I use this to grow instead of being angry and running away, you know? And eventually I learned how to do it. And it was the most extraordinary transformation I ever went through in my life. Just learning how to do that.
Receiving every situation as a learning opportunity.
Yes, every situation is an opportunity to grow or an opportunity to defeat yourself, you know? Depends upon what your needs are inside. And so many people use all these situations to just defeat themselves. And that's not the purpose. The purpose is whatever it is we have to deal with should be an opportunity to grow, an opportunity to get closer to our spiritual life. What does it teach us about how we have to get stronger, more open, and closer to God or spiritual enlightenment? I mean, to me, it's an extraordinary way to live. Because then there's nothing that's negative. There's also nothing that's positive. It's all just energy. How do I use it to grow? How do I get deeper in myself because of this mistake I just made? That's how you build a strong chakra system, because you need it. When I was younger, I used to put myself in the most outrageous situations. I really did. I was like jumping in the Pacific Ocean and trying to swim to land. And I said, how am I going to get out of these situations? I just used to go deep and deeper, and I would get stronger by connecting with spirit and using that energy to get strong enough to master the situations I was involved in. And they were mostly financial things, you know? And I would just do this as a way of testing me. Can I grow? Can I, can I get strong enough inside to take care of these things that I got myself involved? And the only place I can go to get the energy was from a higher place. And the only place where I could get there was using the meditation to develop the chakra system.
It's 2 o'clock.
I mean, I've been through enough of them that I don't have to put myself through them again. But while I went through that, it was astonishing the amount of growth that took place in myself. It made me realize I could handle just about anything that came along. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
Thank you,
Stuart,
Yes.
after you reach that place where you live in a space free of yourself, when you meet another person, can you immediately recognize if they're also living in that space? I mean, can you see very clearly?
Yes, your ability to see people, you know, you can meet somebody, honestly, Larry, take one look at them and you see if they live on this level in their life, exactly where their life is going to go in the future. You know, you see people clearly. You don't try to manufacture who they are. You really see what's in front of you. And I think that's a good thing, you know, because you save yourself a lot of aggravation trying to manufacture another human being when that person really isn't that way. I mean, people get involved in relationships like that where they manufacture the person in their head. And it turns out the person is exactly the opposite, you know, or something very different. And we do a disservice to ourselves and we do a disservice to other people by trying to create who they are in our own brains, you know, but just simply who they are. And then you can make choices about whether you want to be with them or not, or, you know, if you have to be with them, if it's a work situation, a family situation, then you figure out, well, you don't figure out, but you learn how to use whatever goes on in the situation as an opportunity for you to grow. It's amazing how this works.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
I have a technical question, Stuart, just to remind myself, because sometimes I'm not so clear with the chakras actually, like the second or the third chakra, like the hara. And sometimes I'm not sure if I focus like on the navel itself. I mean inside or a little above.
Two fingers below the navel is the hara. That's where the center of the chakra is, and it's inside, and it emanates from inside out. And you get your focus of attention there, and then it opens. But it's about 2 fingers below the navel.
Inside the body,
try
actually.
and sit still. It's about 2, and that's where it is. And you know, if it's first chakra, I don't care. It's just 2 fingers below the navel. That's where it is. What the number is, I'm not interested in. I mean, people call it the third chakra, you know, but what I'm really interested in is where it is and where you have to focus. And that's the very core of your inner being, right there.
Yes, I understand. But sometimes with the language, I'm not sure if it's like below, like under the navel, or inside the body in the navel. I'm sorry.
It's inside the body. It's inside.
Yes, okay.
Yeah. Below the navel, inside.
Yes, okay. Thanks. I have another question, actually, just something else. Sometimes when you meet somebody, you got intuitive mind, with your intuition, you feel things about this person, like you feel his inside, sometimes his inner life. But how sometimes it's conflicted in my mind. I mean, sometimes it's conflicted. How can you not get prejudiced then, you know?
Well, you don't have to get critical of them. You just, sometimes you meet people that, I mean, for God's sake, they could be somebody, a soul from another lifetime, somebody you had met before, and you get a sensation of knowing this person, you know?
Yes, or feeling how he is inside, what is, if it's like.
Feeling, yes. And it's just an opportunity to learn. Why be critical of them, you know? They're having enough trouble as it is. Why do we have to add to their troubles? You know, most people, just open to them and see what these people have to bring to your life. You know, and if they bring negative things, then you can always say, no, I don't need this in my life. They bring positive things, you can welcome them and see, you know, what's there for you to learn from them. I just have to ask people, you know, Laura, next time when you come to class, can you light yourself better so I can see you? I can barely see you. Okay? And I think Skender too I can barely see either one of you, you know? So have a light on you that I can see you. Makes it easier for me to work with you, okay? If I just see dark, it's very difficult. So when you come to class next, try to lighten yourself up in a room which is lighter, or a lamp in front of you or something like that. And Skender too, I can barely see either one of you. And I like you both, and I want to see you, you know? So try and lighten yourself up, both inside and outside. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? Okay, then there'll be a meditation on Thursday. Thank you for being here. God bless you all. It's a miracle to be able to do this for people all over the world. And I find a great deal of joy in my heart sharing the things I've learned with all of you. So bless you, and thanks, and in all humility, I'm looking forward to seeing everybody again.
Bless you too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stuart.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
you're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Thank you.